Thank you, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about coopetition, banding together with your competitors, your competition, to help grow your business. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler, and we have a unique situation because, as you can see, there's two of us up here. So Brian called me David, and then him David. I'm actually Tim. It's all right, no worries. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce David. Since there's two of us, we don't have to talk about ourselves. I can talk about him, brag about him a little bit, and then hopefully he'll return the favor and do the same for me. David Blackman here has been using WordPress for about 4.5 years now. He has a WordPress web design agency with his co-founder and business partner, Corey Jenkins. Shout out to Corey, who is an organizer here. And in addition, they have a product company where they create products for the Divi theme framework, as Brian mentioned. And then additionally, David is co-host of WP the Podcast and a panelist on Divi Chat, a podcast for the Divi theme.
Thank you, Tim. That was mighty nice. This is my good friend, Tim Streifler. Tim Streifler runs a web development agency as well, Tim Streifler Online Solutions. He also creates plugins and themes for the Divi theme as well. He's my co-host on WP the Podcast. Has anybody listened to WP the Podcast out here? I saw a hand. Oh,
Couple hands. There we go.
Right. 3 listeners. I'm happy.
After today, we'll hopefully have 3 more.
Yes, that's right. And he's also one of our panelists on Divi Chat, which is a weekly live podcast we do. We cover a lot of things WordPress. So, Tim, what is coopetition? So
coopetition is a made-up word, not by us. We can't take credit for it. But coopetition is a word mash of cooperating with your competition, or another way of looking at it, partnering with your competition. So rather than viewing your competitors as barriers or stumbling blocks to your success, you view them as opportunities or opportunities to partner and collaborate to achieve success together.
Thank you, Tim. I just want y'all to know that I'm Superman in here.
And if you know David Blackman, you know he's not really from this planet, so that works out pretty well.
Yeah, it works good. Alien once or twice.
And we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we're competitors in 2 different ways. So we both have web design agencies where we create websites for clients in a competitive market. So we are in the Divi theme framework, and so we both have people that come to us that want someone that are experts in the Divi theme, and so we're literally bidding on the same projects. So we're competitors on the service side, and then we're also competitors because we both create products for the Divi theme framework, plugins and themes, and then as well for the Divi theme framework as well as the WordPress market as a whole.
Yeah, Tim has a wonderful e-commerce theme, and we have an e-commerce theme. And it really hasn't hurt us to have the same type of theme going after the same audience and stuff. And I want to talk a little bit about our story and kind of go back to even before our story started and tell you a little bit about my story, because I know that coopetating is not a new thing in WordPress. Maybe it's a new word. But you may hear all kinds of versions of coopetate and coopetating in this talk, but I know that it's not something that's unique to us. I know this is the WordPress way. It's open source. The WordPress community is phenomenal. And you know, when I found WordPress, which was September of 2013, a friend of mine needed to create a blog. I'd never built a website before, and I felt like, you know what, I'm a technical guy. I can probably help you out. I started doing some Google search, found this thing called WordPress, and just absolutely fell in love. Well, as I started trying to learn WordPress, watching lots of YouTube videos, lots of Google searches, those marketers were on point. They had their pixels working, so when I'd go log into my Facebook, I'd start seeing these same type of people. At the time, it was Derek Halpern. I was looking into the thesis, DIY themes. I also, was looking at Genesis and stuff, and so I had like Derek Halpern and Frank Kern and Amy Porterfield and even though they had nothing to do with my friend's, building his blog for his website, I was very intrigued by them because they seemed to be targeting me or entrepreneurs who wanted to start businesses online. And then I would see them at events and stuff together. And I kind of felt like, you know what, this is kind of like a good old boy network. They know each other. They're going after the same user, but they're not, cutting each other down at the knees. I felt like, now this is my perception. I've never met them. I've never talked to them. This was just my perception on the outside looking in. I felt like they were working together in a lot of ways, that they would not release things simultaneously so that they could help promote each other, and it wasn't hurting them, it was benefiting them. And that was just kind of my first little glimpse of, wow, that's pretty cool. So fast forward to a whole 2 months or 3 months to December of 2013, and this theme called Divi came out. And me being a novice, a brand new WordPress user, I got to be honest, Genesis and Thesis was caving my head in. I wasn't a developer. I wasn't a CSS. I didn't know PHP. And then I saw this drag and drop thing and thought, holy cow, it's got a lot of power. It might have some potential. Let me take a look at it. A few months later, I went to Elegant Themes' blog, read a blog post about WordPress. I don't even remember what the blog post was, but there was a comment on the blog post that said, hey, I've started a Facebook group over here. If you want to come over and join it, maybe we can help each other learn this new thing called Divi. And that's what I did. I joined. I was one of the first 20 members, could have been one of the first 10 members. I'm going to fast forward to now. Those Facebook groups now probably have cumulative 100,000 members. So that's a lot of people. So when I was in these groups, learning and building websites with WordPress, because I loved it and I was passionate about it, there were a lot of really, really helpful people. And I noticed that there were people that I felt like, we would work good together and stuff. And maybe if we, kind of worked together, maybe we could help grow each other's businesses. Because by this time, of course, a few months down the road into WordPress, I'm an expert. And I'm taking clients on, and I've really got to learn it now. So that's kind of where my mindset was from the beginning. And then fast forward, a little less than a year later, Tim comes into that group. And, I just kind of saw Tim as one of those people that would fit well with our group of people. And, masterminds aren't new. None of this stuff that I'm talking about is new. None of the stuff that we're going to talk about here on the stage is brand new. We're going to share with you our story. We're also going to tell you what we feel like works really good and how it can maybe help you grow your business. Because where I've come in September of 2013 to where I'm at now, 4.5 years later, with our WordPress company, 7 full-time, contractors. My wife won't let me say employees because she's a CPA. Contractors. Yeah. And 8 part-time contractors, and tell you what it's done for our business as a whole is just been phenomenal. And I attribute it 100% to having that mindset of you're not my enemy, and there's plenty of business in the world to be had, and we don't need to fight over it. Why don't I help you? And then our businesses have basically exploded. I've talked for a long time. I'll let Tim, kind of jump in and say some things as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to go through just a couple of ways that we put that into practice, what David's talking about, the WordPress spirit, Coopetition. And one of the things that we did, and this is to David's credit, it was his idea, or maybe it was his business partner's Corey's idea. He seems to take credit most of the time, but we decided to create product bundles. So as we've mentioned a few times now, we were both creating products for the Divi theme framework. At that time, Divi was quickly becoming, it now is the most popular WordPress theme in the world, or at least the most popular premium WordPress theme. And I had come out with a product called Divi Dashboard Welcome. and it allows the user to use the Divi builder to customize the WordPress dashboard, and so they could create, upsells for their clients, contact forms, whatever. Around that same time, David created a product called Divi Ghoster.
Let me clarify. David didn't create that product. Somebody on David's team created that product. Corey had a big hand in that. But Divi Ghoster was, we decided to white label Divi. So for example, if you didn't want your clients knowing that you were using the Divi theme or the Divi builder, you could use the Tim builder, or turn it into whatever you want. And I kind of thought it would be great to put these two together and stuff. So
yeah, so we did. We put it out there into the marketplace, and people loved it. People love product bundles, and it did really well. And so fast forward a few months down the road, David coordinated another bundle, a bigger bundle with those same products we mentioned, plus two other WordPress Divi developers who had products, and we called it the Ultimate Divi Bundle. And it did quite well. And so I think just the spirit of Coopetition, putting our products together in a bundle, creating something of true value that customers can get excited about because they could, one price, discounted rate, but then simultaneously helping us each individually grow our audiences by getting in front of each other's audiences. It was a big deal, and it was quite successful.
Yeah, we basically leveraged each other's audiences, and I found out some very interesting things about our audiences, because you would assume that they're all using the same theme, that they would be all the same types of users. But that wasn't the case. They were very, very different. So cross-pollinating his audience with my audience ended up being a really, really good thing. And I didn't know that until down the road, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later. I think it's important, these product bundles that Tim and I are talking about. I'm kind of an open, transparent guy. I'm gonna share numbers with you and stuff. Tim, I'm gonna let him, he's a big boy, he can do whatever he wants to do. But on the product side of things, on those bundles, we generated in revenue $150,000 on putting those products together from, brand new WordPress product creators. So it was not a small thing that happened. It was a pretty major, significant, life-changing thing that, us fighting together, instead coming together, working together, just catapulted our business and stuff. So I think I'm supposed to, sorry, Tim, I'm kind of ad-lib a lot of times. I'll go down some, different paths.
Yeah.
We also, what ended up happening was we had sort of an unofficial growth council, to where we talk all the time. We share revenue. We're very open about our companies, and not to say that you should do that with everybody. You have to use your own intuition. You have to know whether or not this person's a good fit and whether you can trust them or not. Are they going to stab you in the back, take your customers away? Because you know what? There are people out there who aren't, don't have that type of mindset, and they may want to abuse it or use it. We, fortunate, in our group, we have several. It's not just him and I. There's I'm going to use the term gaggle. I don't know why, a big group of us that, that we work together and stuff, and it's been pretty awesome. So we bounce each other, we kind of mastermind. We bounce ideas off of each other. I'm going to say this right here. I don't know if it was supposed to come up anywhere else in the talk, but, if somebody would have told me when I was starting my WordPress business and said, hey, this is the secret to success. I'm going to give it to you right now. I want you to go in your town. I want you to find your biggest competitor. I want you to sit down with them once a week, have coffee with them, and I want you to share all of your top secret ideas with them, your best ideas for the year, and your business is going to explode if you do it. I would have said, hey, yeah, right, buddy. You've lost your mind. But in essence, that's what's happened. And that's kind of what I want to share. Now, this evolved. It didn't happen immediately. We obviously worked together in these Facebook groups and got to know each other and stuff. But as a result, the end result is we do those things, and it's perpetuated, really good growth for our companies. And it was very unnatural for him. So
yeah, absolutely. When you have someone that you met on the internet, essentially, who is one of your competitors, and he's sharing numbers of, how many products he sold yesterday, and sharing his ideas for new products. I don't know, for me, it was a little unnatural. Like, wait, whoa, I'm not going to tell you that information. Like, that's confidential, that's secret. And that's something that naturally, I'm more of a lone wolf, solopreneur. I kind of do my own thing. But kind of through this process of Coopetition, it kind of opened me up and to see the value. In general, community isn't something that I naturally would see the value in, say 5 years ago or so. But being a part of it and really to David's credit, kind of facilitating and being the one prompting this type of business relationship, seeing the value now, it's a pretty special thing. And another thing that comes with that, and this is kind of obvious, is a mutual respect. David joked how we both have e-commerce child themes that compete, and that's fine because just because someone bought his doesn't mean they can't buy mine for their next project. But at the same time, I'm not going to go and rip off all of his products and say, in the name of Coopetition, what are you going to do about it? So there has to be that mutual respect, and I think that's something that we've, through this process and over the last couple of years have come to really gain a respect for.
Yeah, and I think it probably goes more on the plug-in side where we're really, really respective. Themes are themes, you can have 1,000 different restaurant themes and stuff, and still, there's many people that purchase his e-commerce theme and they purchase our e-commerce theme, They talk about it in Facebook groups all the time, They recommend them side by side and stuff. So I think, it is important to find people that aren't, don't have a greedy mindset that, gimme, 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 gimme. It needs to be about the collective and stuff.
Yeah, and a couple other things that I forgot to add to the slide, that ways that we've coopetated together is we've started 2 podcasts together. The first one called Divi Chat, where the group that David talked about, where we've kind of all come together and helped each other, promoted each other. We created a live podcast that is on YouTube Live, and we basically, share everything we know, want to share everything that we've learned and bring value to the rest of the Divi user community.
And I'm glad because we forgot another thing on the slide. And I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of people, at least one person in here. Give WP is in the house. We did a Coopetition between several WordPress developers when Hurricane Harvey happened. And they were gracious enough to donate products, and we raised almost $25,000. And we, thank you. Clap for him too, because he donated some products, and we just basically put products together and stuff, and gave people a really awesome deal and helped out.
Powered it too.
Yeah. So if anybody else is in here that donated to it, and I'm just not seeing you, raise your hand, and I'll give you a shout out too. So yeah.
Yeah, and then the second thing is we started a podcast together called WP the Podcast, separate from the Divi community, where we basically share everything we know about running a WordPress business.
Yeah, my whole 4.5 years, which is, I've taken the crash course in WordPress, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we know obviously not everyone is product creators, and so it's not always applicable to create product bundles and do bundle fundraisers like we did. And so we put together a couple ways just to kind of spark ideas of ways other companies can cooperate. WordPress is a big platform. There's product creators, there's service companies, there's bloggers, there's online magazines, whatever. And so we put a list of a couple things. You want to jump in first?
Yeah, sure. Some of the places where you can find us is in person. This isn't rocket science. Meetups, WordCamps, we're here. Reaching out locally and stuff. I want to kind of give an example. The person who introduced us, Brian. It is Brian, correct? Thank you for doing that, by the way. When he was sitting up there and he was kind of getting our little intro bio and stuff, he was telling me about his company and stuff, which is different than my company. But it definitely can fill a need for what we want to do with our company and stuff. So I don't know if my mind's just always kind of working that way and stuff, but in person, WordCamp, here we are at a WordCamp. I met Brian 30 minutes ago, literally, and he's telling me about his maintenance company that offers maintenance services and stuff. And my partner and I are like, you know, we want to turn that over to somebody because, you know, that's just where we want. So perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, these are kind of obvious things where you can meet people that are like-minded, that kind of have the same aspirations, ambitions, and they might technically be competitors on paper, but you don't have to view them that way. And online's a big thing. That's how David and I met. That's actually how David and Corey met. They were business partners for, what, 18 months?
No, we were full-blown business partners for 14 months before we ever met in person. Corey's he thinks he's married to Mandy up there. Mandy is awesome. He's married to both of us, you know. Anybody that knows, if you're in a partnership, you're in a marriage. So. And
they bicker like a married couple as well.
But yeah, we met in those same groups that Tim and I are talking about, and Corey and I just became really good friends. You know, he was really great at what I really sucked at, you know, and I'd like to say that I was really good at, you know, some things that benefited him. And, you know, it's been almost 3 years, May 2015. So coming up on 3 years in May, Corey and I will be officially, you know, partners. And like he said, you know, I mean, isn't online the world just awesome? You know, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, so a couple places just to list out a few things where you can meet like-minded people, kind of obvious. WordPress Slack groups, Facebook groups are huge. I was not really into Facebook until a couple years ago, and I heard about the Divi Facebook groups, and people were helping others, and you know, it was like I don't know, it's something that you don't see every day, and it was really, I feel like it kind of encompasses what the WordPress community is all about, which is openness and helping each other, and so yeah, it can be a great place to meet potential people to
the Facebook groups
with.
were really good for that actually. You know, I'm in the Slack, I'm in the Facebook, I'm, you know, in the in-person stuff, but the Facebooks, you just, I don't know why. For me, I could even see character traits in people as they were communicating in the groups, how they were being helpful, or, you know, kind of what their motives were and stuff. So it was really easy to see on a mass scale of where, you know, you may find potential people that you want to partner with.
That's actually a good segue into our next slide. Key traits to look for.
Yeah.
Are they ambitious? Are they looking to scale their business? You know, some people are happy with, you know, the level of revenue that they're doing in their business, or, you know, the level of growth that they're experiencing, and some other people might want to scale. You know, they want to go to the moon, as they say. And so David saw, you know, potential, you know, for him and I being on the same page of you know, our aspirations and, you know, wanting to grow our businesses in the Divi theme community. And so it was a good match for us too, even though we're competitors, to partner up and see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, you want to look for, when he's mentioning about those traits and stuff, you know, I look at character traits, you know, are they helpful? Are they selfish? You know, are they truly, you know, being helpful, or do they have an ulterior motive? You know, are they solving a problem and then, hey, ping me over here and I'll send you my rates, kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly okay. I think it's just important that you know what it is that you're getting, you know. So, you know, and I don't feel like I'm unique or different than anybody else. I think all of us have these abilities to see, you know, and use our intuition and say, okay, you know, this person's motives are good. This person's motives, they may not be so good, but they do have some you know, assets that may be able to help me and benefit me. And I have used people like that for one-off services and stuff. So,
yeah, if you've ever been a part of a WordPress Facebook group, and you know, there's hundreds out there, there's always the one person that is basically just pushing to get work. And you'll see someone that'll ask an elementary question like, how do I change, you know, the menu or something? And that one person will ping them and say, private message me, I can help you with that. And so that's like the opposite of, you know, the person that you would want to cooperate with, essentially.
Yeah, and, you know, which one are we on? It's our first time, so forgive us. Practical ways you can cooperate. Is that the way?
Yeah.
Is that where we're at?
Yes, sir.
All right. Obviously, if you've got product companies, if you're a product creator, you can find different companies that can accentuate your products and stuff. And I'm just going to say it, don't be scared. Now, we don't only do Divi products, we have WordPress products as well. We probably have in the neighborhood of 20 WordPress plugins. So look for, like our dashboard welcome and Divi Ghoster, the ultimate Divi bundle. This was a four top developers in that niche, the Divi niche. I know we're talking about that a lot, but that's kind of where our success and growth came from.
Yeah, that's our story.
And we had 4 developers in there that were, I'm going to say probably for the top 4 companies in Divi, product creators for Divi, and they all came together with their best products, their #1 sellers, and said, let's give this thing a try. And it's done really, really well for us. So look for, product companies that can help you and stuff.
Yeah, but not everyone's a product company. We have service companies as well. So for example, service companies, we mentioned how David and I are companies. Sometimes we're bidding on the exact same project, and there's times where David has said, hey, by the way, we bid at about this much. If you came in right around here, you'll probably get it. Like, you don't really see that all the time. Your competitor's telling you how to win the bid that they also bid on. And so for service companies, outsourcing, referring work, I've referred David's company work all the time. We have this mutual collaboration of Coopetition. So I'm not in a place where I'm taking on a lot of projects right now. I'm focusing on the product business. So I'm feeding him all of my leads that come through my website. That's an obvious way where service companies can cooperate together. Another way is joint educational freebies. So Divi Chat, WP the podcast, webinars, stuff like that. Even if you're a company that does web design locally and you reach out to a competitor in your area, you could put on a seminar, bring a whole bunch of small business companies in the area, come together, teach them about the best practices with web design and internet marketing, whatever. And that's a great way where you can come together with a competitor to bring value to your community and grow your businesses in the process.
Yeah, looks like the same. All right. Now we get to talk about how it's helped us. And we're going to let you ask questions. I don't want us to be talking the whole time. So if you do have questions, we're going to leave plenty of time for questions and stuff. How has it helped us? I was sitting in a coffee shop with a laptop trying to figure out WordPress. You heard the beginning part of the story and stuff. I attribute 100% of our growth to cooperating. I kind of like the word. Cooperating with Tim and several other members of our community that we've come to know and learn, and I'll let you say, and then I'll share, kind of some other stuff.
Absolutely. And I mentioned a little bit already how community and, sharing and all that, it's not something that I'm used to and like to do. But taking that step of faith and kind of going out there and partnering with a competitor, someone that, we're not supposed to partner up together. That's not the business way. But it's been absolutely a phenomenal experience, because not only has it helped our businesses grow, but I have someone that I can bounce ideas off of. There's a saying that entrepreneurship can be the loneliest job in the world, because no one really understands what you're doing, what you're going through, and so having someone that's right there with you, doing the same thing, having the same challenges, it's a great experience, and something that's kind of hard to talk about because it's hard to express.
I just figured out how I'm going to express it. I'm just going to share my own experience and story. And, that little plug-in, I remember Corey and I, we were like, hey, man, we made an extra $300 this month, Holy cow, this is awesome. And then we got to the point where we were making like 1,000 extra a month and a couple of thousand extra a month and stuff. And it was just like, it was kind of surreal to us. And that was just Corey and I doing our thing, before we really dove in with this group of people. And I can tell you that in the last 2 years, we've grown our email list to almost 40,000 emails. Our revenue, when we were, a few $100s a month, we're going to probably, I would like to say we're going to do 7 figures this year. We're going to definitely do in the high 6 figures. But my goal is the 7 figures. And I don't want to sound grandiose and I don't want to sound egotistical, but that's literally what happened to our business. That's what transpired by me going over to him and saying, hey, let's work together. You know what? We got some awesome products. We got a killer community in WordPress, an awesome community in Divi. Why don't we try to work together and see if we can just scale this thing? And it's been phenomenal. It's been a meteoric, rise. So.
And that's David in a nutshell, sharing revenue numbers with a room full of strangers.
WordPress TV.
So yeah, I think final thought, I mean, if this is something that's uncomfortable and you're like me, you're not like David, just get out there and do it. Take that step of faith because it's something that can really transform your business while bringing value to customers as well. And so this fully kind of expresses.
Do I look like? No. You had a question? Yeah. Yeah. Tim?
The good old handshake agreement.
Yeah, you're probably bringing up, this is why I love WordCamps. We're going to learn some things too, even being up here. It's probably wise, maybe, to do agreements and contracts, but
yeah,
we haven't done them.
And I think it comes back to partnering with someone that you fully trust, and you see, the same, like-mindedness. Since we do now have a podcast and we do plan on coming out with a online course together, that's something that we will be doing is putting together an LLC.
Yeah, legally
50-50 partnership.
But up at...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we haven't... I'll tell you, in 4.5 years of doing, and this is totally wrong, so I'm like not the person to take advice from when it comes to doing business this way, but I never had contracts, I just had a handshake, and you're as good as your word. So if I told them I was going to do something, I did it, and if they told me, and it's worked out great. Now, since our businesses have grown internationally and not locally, which was primarily initially, we do use contracts now for web clients and stuff.
On the Divi front, since it's such a big community and there's a Gutenberg talk right before this,
right?
Do y'all have any insights on what Divi is doing to take on new Gutenberg blocks? And then as a second part, have your services side started to think about that for your clients as well?
Yeah, so I'm just going to repeat the question because we were told to repeat the question. So he's asking about the Divi theme and then Gutenberg and how they're going to play together, basically, as well as how it's going to affect client work. Is that correct? Yeah. Want to take a stab at that first?
Well, I mean, I have spoken with Nick Roach about this.
CEO of Elegant Themes.
And, he says that they're going to, it's still early in the game for Gutenberg, but they're 100% going to be compatible with Gutenberg. So as far as the client services side, and absolutely we're going to take advantage of, at least I know our company is. We're already diving into Gutenberg and, seeing where we can create and utilize blocks and stuff and take WordPress to the next level wherever it's going to go and stuff. So,
yeah.
Obviously familiar with your own model of Coopetition.
Mm-hmm.
Familiar with any other models of Coopetition where maybe the relationship wasn't such a romance?
Yeah, so he's asking if we've, in our research, seen any companies that didn't have such a successful co-opetition. I haven't seen any. I mean, you're not going to see Verizon or AT&T, hugging each other, singing Kumbaya, doing co-opetition. And you're right, it's probably not something that's suitable for every business model. But I think it's probably more suitable, or it's probably suitable for more businesses than people think. You think, oh, well, a service company you're doing in a local area, like there's no way you can really, come together. And yeah, you might not be able to, put together bundles like we've done, but you can do something where you provide value for your local community.
Yeah, and I have seen somewhat in our same, because I've been in it from the beginning, kind of in our little WordPress community and stuff. I have seen that where people have been reserved, and I've honestly felt like they probably could have been very, very successful. And because they were reserved, which is okay. It's okay to be cautious and to be the way that you are. It's perfectly okay. I feel like it has hurt them. It hasn't benefited them. Because they haven't jumped on the train, so to speak. You know what I mean?
We're not going to name any names,
No,
obviously,
no.
but looking at where a couple of competitors in our niche market were, several years ago, and then where David and I and several others have continued to grow, helping each other grow. You've seen this decrease where they're not the
Right.
leaders in the space anymore, and I attribute that to the way that we've cooperated.
Someone up here had a question. Purple shirt.
Yeah, so he's asking about when we start to do contracts, are we going to do it on a product by product, service by service, or how that's going to look like? I know for sure when we dive into the online course where we're sharing, revenue from this course 50%, that's more cut and dry. A lot of the stuff that we've done previously is, more informal, and it's kind of hard to I'm sure you could put a contract around it, but I don't really know. Do you have anything to add?
I think it's going to be situational. I think it's going to depend on how it evolves. Obviously, it's evolved. Now, Tim and I are up here, and it's us two, and it does seem like a bromance. And hey, we do have a bromance. But
we're both happily married, just to be clear.
Yeah, we're both happy. I will tell you this, it's much larger than just he and I. There is a group of people that have been working together. In our core group, there's a minimum of 20 of us, all business owners, all competing in the same niche, all product developers, and all of their businesses have skyrocketed because they said, hey, let's help each other. We don't really have agreements. We don't really have contracts. We do have some goals. Since we saw how effective and well it's worked, we have started planning out future 2018, 2019 revenue goals, things we want to do together and stuff, products we want to create together and stuff. I do see some, like Tim said, we're going to form a company around that to where we're both protected and stuff. And I don't necessarily know that maybe contracts is the way to go. I don't know. We have attorneys, we have CPAs, we have people that'll guide us when we get there. And I do think eventually as the revenue scales the way that it's been scaling, we're going to probably do that. So, yes.
So do you each have your own operating LLCs plus one that you do joint ventures with?
We will. Yeah, so he's asking if we have our own LLCs and then have one joint. So currently, no. We both have separate LLCs, David with his partner, Corey, and then me by myself. But yeah, we're going to form one that my LLC 50% owns the middle LLC, and then his LLC will own that.
The operating agreement on that joint venture LLC could cover
Right. That's a
It could,
good
yes.
point. definitely.
And before we run out of time, we probably have about 30 seconds. She gave us the 1-minute thing. Thanks, man. This was our first WordPress talk.
Thank you.